giraffe is born, they are about 6 feet tall. In their first year of life, they can double that height. They also have about a 6-foot drop from mom to the ground that snaps their umbilical cord when they're born. Now, if you ask me, being dropped 6 feet on your head kind of sounds like a rude welcome into the world, right? But for a giraffe, it's not really a big deal. Look up on top of their head. You see those 2 things sticking up? Those are called ossicones. That's their version of horns. And they do, in fact, use them as a weapon. They swing those long necks and hit each other with those ossicones. So their head has to be tough. It's almost like a battering ram. Again, those are the Maasai giraffe. Now out there around the tree, you guys see the black buffalo laying down out there? Those black buffalo are the Cape buffalo, and the Cape buffalo are the second most dangerous animal in Africa. The reason they're so dangerous is because of teamwork. Most animals, if one of their herd members was being chased by a predator, the rest of their herd would run in the opposite direction because they don't want to be lunch also, right? But the Cape buffalo don't do that. They say, guys, Bob's in trouble, let's go help. They run towards danger and as a team can effectively fend off an entire pride of lions. But it's only because of teamwork that they're able to do that. And that teamwork is what makes them the second most dangerous animal in Africa. Not counting humans, do you guys know who the first most dangerous animal in Africa is? If you said the hippo, you would be correct. Now out there, do you guys see the logs in the grass out there? Do you guys see the rhino that's standing next to those logs? Raise your hand for me when you see that rhino. Awesome. Now she is very special. That is Nola. Nola is one of 7 northern white rhino left in the entire world. The reason there's only 7 of those rhino left is because they've been hunted for their horns. There are cultures that believe a rhino's horn holds medicinal powers to it for things like curing cancer or even as an aphrodisiac. What a lot of people don't realize, though, is that a rhino's horn is actually made of the same stuff as your hair and your fingernails, which is keratin. So making a tea out of rhino horn and then expecting that to cure cancer would be the same thing as making a tea out of your fingernail and toenail clippings and then expecting that to cure cancer. Not only do I think that tea would probably taste pretty gross, it's also not going to cure cancer. If it did, everybody would be walking around drinking toenail tea, and cancer would not exist in our society like it does today. Nola is also special because she's our oldest female rhino we have here at the park. She's 39 years old. Now, off to the right, you probably have already spotted some gray animals over there. Those are the Somali wild ass, critically endangered species. Now, they don't have horns to fight with. How do they defend themselves? If you said they kick and or bite, you are correct. They do both. Now, as we go up this hill here, unfortunately, I cannot stop until we make it all the way to the top, because if I stop, the tram will refuse to move forward. I don't want that to happen, so I will be pointing animals out to you on the move. Starting in this first boma here, you might catch a glimpse of a rhino inside the boma. If you do, that is Angalifu. Angalifu is our male northern white rhino. So now that you've seen him and Nola, you can officially say you've seen the only 2 northern white rhinos in the United States. There's 1 of those rhinos in the Czech Republic and 4 on a preserve in Kenya under armed guard to hopefully prevent them from being poached like the rest of their species has been. Unfortunately for that species, only the 4 that are in Kenya are still young enough to breed. If you look over these buildings into the next enclosure, you'll see a rhino standing up underneath the shade of a tree at the top of that little hill up there. I may get a better look at him from the other side, but if we don't, that is Chuck. He's a southern white rhino. Same kind of rhino as mom and baby, but he is not dad. He is too old. He is our oldest male rhino we have here at the park. He's about 44 years old. And I don't know if I said it already, but his name is Chuck. We may get another look at him from the other side of the valley, though. Right down below us here, you have some orange animals. Those are the Ugandan cob. Now, a lot of these animals will have sort of an orange coat, right? The more orange their coat is, the more lush green environment they come from. Helps them blend in. You might be thinking, wait a minute, they're standing in green grass and I can see them fine. Well, most of these animals see in shades of gray. If you see in shades of gray, black and white stands out the most, but orange and green end up being very similar shades of gray. So those have been blend in very well. You got one small gazelle wagging its tail as we go by here. That is a red-fronted gazelle. That tail wagging that they do, that a lot of the smaller gazelles do, is called flagging. And what they're doing is they're saying, I know you're a predator, I know you see me, I see you also, so don't waste your time or my time trying to hunt me. Don't eat somebody that has not seen you yet. A good portion of a predator's success is going to be that element of surprise. So if they know that the animal they're trying to hunt has seen them, they will usually move on to somebody that has not, so they have a higher success rate of actually catching their dinner. So if you're a small gazelle, it's definitely a good idea if you even hear a predator to start wagging that tail so they think that you saw them already. On both sides you have pelicans, pink-backed pelicans, great white pelicans, and Dalmatian pelicans. Some more of those red-fronted gazelle off to the right.
101 pelicans.
Also on the island on the right, there are two birds kind of standing at the edge of the island here that are black with a gold crown of plumage on top of their heads. Those are two West African crowned cranes. And we are now officially starting the second half of the valley, which means that you will see some animals we saw from the other side. Now, even if I don't point them out to you a second time, I want you to still pay attention to them, because they could be doing something more interesting than they were doing the first time we saw them. Also, we are up on higher ground, so you might have a better view of some of them as well. Any new animals or new behaviors we see along the way, I will definitely be pointing those out to you. And in between, I will let you enjoy the scenery and the view of the animals without my voice in the background. Alright, down below us we have two different species. We have a red-fronted gazelle again, but two new species. The animals that are between us and Chuck, brown with a black and white mask on their face, those are roan antelope. If you look past those roan antelope, you'll see Chuck in the shade there still. And then to the right from where Chuck is, on the other side of that little dirt patch there, there are some grayish tan animals with white vertical stripes on their back underneath that big tree. Those are the greater kudu. And the greater kudu is a species where only the males have horns. You can spot the adult male underneath that big tree kind of looking towards Chuck with the long twisted corkscrew-like horns. Now because only the males have horns in this species, that tells us they come from an environment where they have plenty of resources. Those girls don't need horns because they will never have to fight each other over food and water. There's plenty of it. There's also, standing there staring at the gate that separates the two enclosures, there are two cattle. One white with brown speckles, the other reddish brown. Those are Ankole cattle. The Ankole cattle are bred by the Ankole people as a status symbol. Because they are a status symbol, they do not use them for their meat. That would be like you eating your Lamborghini for dinner. For them, their status would be over at that point. Now we may see some more Ankole cattle up ahead, and if we do, if they are visible, then we should have a pretty good view of them. No guarantees though, because all our animals do have places that they can go to kind of get off exhibit.
Good girl. With what? I don't have a camera.
Vamos a sacarse de aquí.
You can see the other
Nos van a contratar de camarógrafo nosotros.
Out the door. Don't lean
Tantos
on the
pictures
door.
que hacemos. Good girl.